Usually when we talk about a medical diagnosis, there's this expectation of clinical precision.
Right, like an X-ray.
Exactly. You break your arm, the x-ray shows that jagged white line, and the doctor just points at the screen and says, "Well, there it is. Broken or not broken."
It's clean, it's visible, and I mean, we really like that. We crave that binary simplicity, especially when we're trying to fix a problem.
We really do. But then you step into the world of human cognition. You look into how we actually learn and, process new information. And suddenly that x-ray machine is completely
Oh,
useless.
it's a totally different ballgame.
Yeah.
The cognitive landscape is incredibly murky.
Super mucky. But today we have a document that actually tries to map that landscape. Our source material for this deep dive is just fascinating. It's a mathematically precise blueprint designed to instruct an AI, a digital entity, basically on how to become the perfect English teacher.
Yeah, and it reads like a comprehensive manifesto for human pedagogy, but somehow it's coded into the logical format of a system prompt.
Which is wild to think about.
It really is. It is essentially reverse engineering the human learning process, but doing it through the lens of artificial intelligence instructions.
And I want to clarify for everyone listening, this isn't just a basic lesson plan scribbled in a notebook.
Yeah.
It is a structural, highly granular breakdown of how language acquisition fundamentally works.
Specifically at the A2 level, right?
Right, exactly, the elementary level. And it does this entirely through the medium of sound. It restricts the entire learning environment to audio interaction only.
Which is a massive constraint.
Huge. So, our mission today is to unpack this 8 step framework and its strict communication rules. By breaking this document down, we are going to explore the hidden mechanics of how human beings process new information.
And how we build confidence from scratch, really.
Yeah, how we master a completely new language from the ground up. Okay, let's unpack this because the sheer challenge of the design is monumental when you actually think about it.
What's really fascinating here is that the document is designed entirely for an interactive audio lesson. The creator of this prompt is trying to generate a feeling of genuine, spontaneous human interaction.
But the student is just listening to an audio track.
Exactly. They are, in reality, just listening to an audio track and talking back to a machine.
It's trying to make a one-way medium feel like a lively two-way street. And if you look at the very beginning of the document, the mandate to this AI is not just to, spit out vocabulary.
Right. It's much more nuanced than that.
It really is. The directive is to act as an experienced, friendly teacher. But then it lays down this non-negotiable rule that dictates everything else that follows. It explicitly prioritizes speaking confidence over grammatical perfection.
That is the core philosophy right there.
Yeah, the exact phrasing is focus on speaking confidence more than grammar perfection. And that's immediately followed by never use language above A2 unless necessary.
We really need to unpack the psychology of an A2 learner to understand why that rule is the absolute foundation of the whole system.
Please do, because it seems counterintuitive to tell a teacher not to focus on grammar.
Well, at the elementary level, the greatest barrier to fluency isn't actually a lack of vocabulary. It's not that the learner doesn't know the word for train or run,
Right, something deeper.
much deeper. The absolute biggest roadblock is the psychological, almost visceral fear of making a mistake.
Oh man, I think we've all experienced that. I mean, you try to order a coffee in a foreign country and you just freeze up.
Exactly. Your mind goes blank.
You know the words, but the fear of using the wrong verb tense or like mispronouncing a vowel, it completely paralyzes you. You'd rather just point at the menu and nod.
And that paralysis is deeply rooted in our sense of self. Think about it. As adults, or even older teenagers, we are heavily reliant on being competent in our native language.
Our whole identity is tied up in it.
Exactly. Our personality, our humor, our ability to express nuance and frustration, all of that is tied to our linguistic ability.
So when you can't use it, you feel trapped.
You do. When you drop down to an A2 level in a new language, you are essentially stripped of your intellectual identity. You feel like a toddler.
And that is incredibly intimidating.
It's terrifying for most people.
Yeah.
So, by intentionally sidelining grammar in favor of confidence, this framework is purposefully building a psychological safe room.
A safe room. I love that. It's recognizing that the brain literally cannot absorb new information if it is in a state of threat.
Precisely. The effective filter is up.
Right. If I'm terrified of looking foolish, my amygdala is firing, I'm stressed out, and I'm sure as hell not going to remember the past tense of to be.
No, you're in fight or flight mode at that point.
But let me throw a wrench in that for a second.
Go for it.
If we avoid difficult grammar and completely strip out the messy, colorful ways people actually speak in the real world, isn't the learner missing out? I mean, won't they be completely shocked when they step out of this safe room and hear native speakers talking a million miles an hour?
That's a great question. And the document actually anticipates this tension between the safe room and the real world.
Oh, really? How does it handle that?
It includes a specific mechanism to handle complexity without inducing that panic we just talked about. The text dictates this rule. If a difficult word appears in the source, explain it simply.
Ah, okay. So it doesn't just pretend complexity doesn't exist.
Exactly. The system isn't instructed to censor hard concepts. It acts as a translator.
But not just translating between two languages. It sounds like it's translating between two levels of cognitive complexity.
That is a really critical distinction.
Yes.
The teacher takes complex, real-world concepts and breaks them down into digestible A2 building blocks.
It makes me think of acclimatizing to high altitude.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Like, you don't take a climber from sea level and immediately drop them on the peak of Everest. They would just pass out from the lack of oxygen.
They'd be totally overwhelmed.
Right. You take them to base camp first. You let their body adjust to the new environment.
Right, you build up to it.
So introducing a complex idiom, like, let's say, bite the bullet, to an A2 learner is like dropping them on the peak. They'll just be confused about why we are eating ammunition.
Right, they'll take it literally.
But the AI teacher brings them to base camp. It introduces the phrase, but immediately follows it with something like, this means to do something difficult because you have to. It bridges the gap.
And to maintain that base camp environment, to act as this perfect translator, the teacher has to fundamentally alter the physical mechanics of how they speak.
Which leads us perfectly into the rules of the teacher's voice.
Exactly. They cannot rely on their natural cadence at all. This brings us to the strict parameters the document lays out under the heading, Speaking Style.
This part is fascinating to me because it gets incredibly technical. It tells the AI to speak slowly and clearly, which, is expected.
Sure, standard teacher stuff.
And then it gives this rigid mathematical constraint. It says to use short sentences of exactly 5 to 12 words, no fewer than 5, no more than 12.
Let's look at the cognitive science behind that specific window. Because it's brilliant. Why not 3 words? Why not 15?
Yeah, why that specific range?
It comes down to human working memory, which is the part of your brain that holds and manipulates information in real time.
Like RAM in a computer.
Exactly like RAM.
Yeah.
And when you are processing a foreign language, the cognitive load on your working memory is massive.
I can imagine. You're not just hearing a concept, you were basically decoding a puzzle on the fly.
You are. You're translating sounds into phonemes. And just to clarify for everyone listening, phonemes are the distinct individual sounds that make up words, like the K sound in cat.
Right, the smallest unit of sound.
Exactly. So your brain maps the sound to the phone to a word, the word into syntax, which is the grammatical blueprint or order of the words, and then finally that syntax into meaning.
That is a lot of steps to do in half a second.
Doing all of that simultaneously is exhausting for the brain.
So if a sentence is shorter than 5 words, like let's say he went there, it lacks context. If I don't know who he is or where there is, and I don't have enough surrounding words to guess the context, I'm just lost.
And the flip side of that is the catastrophic cognitive overload of a long sentence.
The 12-word limit.
Right. If an A2 listener hears a 15-word sentence, by the time they get to the very end of it, they've completely forgotten the first 4 words.
Because the RAM is full.
Exactly. Their brain was stuck trying to translate word 7, and their working memory buffer simply overflows.
It's exactly like when someone gives you a phone number, but they read the digits way too fast.
Ooh, I hate that.
Right. Or they don't chunk them into groups. They just rattle off 10 numbers in a row. Your brain scrambles to hold on to the first 3, and by the time they hit the last digit, you've completely dropped the middle of the number. The data is just gone.
That's a perfect comparison. So this 5 to 12 word limit is the Goldilocks zone.
Not too short, not too long.
Right. It's long enough to provide context, but short enough to fit inside that working memory buffer before the next wave of information hits.
It's basically a social media character limit, but for spoken audio. And it forces the AI to abandon all linguistic vanity.
What do you mean by linguistic vanity?
Well, native speakers love to embellish. We naturally use subordinate clauses like adding, piece of weather was nice, right into the middle of a thought.
Oh, we do it constantly.
We use so much filler. The 5 to 12 word rule strips all of that away and distills the thought to its absolute core.
It's enforced clarity.
But the constraint that really caught my attention wasn't the sentence length, it was the silence.
Ah, the pauses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Throughout the document, there is this obsessive recurring instruction. Pause for about 5 seconds after every speaking question.
It's everywhere in the prompt.
From an audio design perspective, 5 seconds of dead air is an absolute eternity.
It feels like a lifetime.
It really does. If I just stop talking right now for 5 full seconds, you listening to this would probably check your phone to see if your app crashed.
You'd think the connection dropped.
Exactly. It violates all the normal rules of broadcast media. So why is this document demanding so much dead air?
Because that silence is not dead air. It is a mandated cognitive workspace.
Mandated cognitive workspace. I like the sound of that.
This distinction gets to the very heart of passive listening versus active learning. Without that 5-second pause, the entire system collapses into a lecture.
The learner would just passively let the audio wash over them.
Right. It just becomes background noise.
So it's giving the brain physical time to execute all those translation steps you mentioned earlier, the foams, the syntax, all of it.
I'd push that even further, actually. When you ask an A2 learner a question, they hear the English, translate it to their native tongue, formulate an answer in their native tongue, translate that answer back into English, check it for massive errors, and then finally speak it aloud.
Wow, when you lay it out like that, it's a miracle anyone learns a language.
It is a massive cognitive process. You simply cannot expect a reflexive, instantaneous answer. The 5-second pause forces the listener out of passive consumption and pushes them into active production.
It creates a psychological vacuum.
Exactly. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so does a conversation.
Even though the AI can't actually hear the student in a pre-recorded or standard one-way audio format, by carving out that exact 5-second void, it's holding space.
It creates this mild, almost invisible social pressure to fill the silence.
Yes, which prompts the student to actually practice speaking aloud rather than just passively thinking the answer in their head.
It is brilliant conversational conditioning. It proves the document is designing a two-way street, even in a one-way medium.
So if the pacing and the pauses ensure the learner doesn't get overwhelmed, how does the blueprint actually introduce the raw material? Like, how does it do it without breaking that safe space we just built?
That takes us right into the chronological journey of the lesson plan.
Right, the architecture of it. Starting with step 1, the warm-up. It's strictly timed at 1 to 2 minutes. The instructions say, to introduce today's topic, tell the learner what they will learn and ask 2 easy questions.
Telling the learner exactly what they will learn right at the outset is a foundational pedagogical tool for mitigating anxiety.
Because they know what's coming.
Exactly. In a foreign language environment, uncertainty drains cognitive resources.
That makes total sense. If I don't know what's happening, I'm just bracing for impact.
Right. If the learner's constantly wondering, where is this going? What am I supposed to be doing? Their brain is occupied by stress rather than learning. By stating the goal clearly, you give them a map.
Like saying, today we are going to learn how to check into a hotel.
Boom. The boundaries are set.
Immediately, the learner's brain knows which semantic files to open and which to close. They know they won't need vocabulary about going to the zoo or buying a car.
And those 2 easy questions it mentions, they aren't about testing knowledge.
They're just a warm-up, right?
They serve as an acoustic icebreaker. They get the vocal cords moving and establish the rhythm of that 5-second pause early on.
It sets the ground rules of the conversation,
Yeah.
which prepares them perfectly for step 2, vocabulary. The blueprint lays out a very precise 5-part formula for introducing every single important word.
The micro-learning loop.
Yes, and it goes exactly like this. Pronounce it clearly, explain it in simple English, give 1 easy example, ask the learner to repeat it, and then pause for 5 seconds.
It is a perfectly engineered, closed-loop system for embedding a word into memory.
It's so structured.
It builds a multidimensional mental model of the word rather than just throwing a dictionary definition at the learner.
It hits every learning center. It hits the auditory cortex with the clear pronunciation, right?
Yep, auditory is first.
Then the semantic memory with the simple explanation and the contextual memory with the example.
And then comes the physical part,
Yes, it forces motor memory encoding when they physically have to move their mouth to repeat it during that 5-second pause.
which is vital because producing a new phone requires your tongue, lips, and jaw to move in ways they literally have never moved before.
It's like going to a new gym for your mouth.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
requires physical practice, not just mental practice.
Then we hit step 3, listening practice. And this is where it gets really interesting. The AI must tell a short story. And again, we have a very strict constraint. The story must be exactly 40 to 80 words.
Not 100, not 200. Max 80 words.
Why so short?
This is a highly controlled narrative environment,
Right.
and it goes right back to what we were saying about the limits of working memory.
The RAM buffer again?
Exactly. An 80-word story is roughly 5 to 8 sentences.
Yeah.
It is long enough to have a beginning, middle, and end, which provides necessary context for the new vocabulary.
It's a real story, not just random sentences.
Right. But it's short enough that the learner can hold the entire narrative arc in their head at once.
If the story gets too long, they lose the plot, literally and figuratively.
The details just start falling out of their head.
But what really fascinated me about step 3 is the instruction on how the AI must read this 80-word story. The text says, read it once slowly. Read it again naturally. I immediately thought of this as a magic trick.
Oh, a magic trick. How do you mean?
Well, think about watching a close-up magician perform a really complex sleight of hand trick.
Okay, I'm with you.
The first time they do it at normal speed. You're amazed, but you have absolutely no idea what just happened.
Right, it's just a blur.
But if they want to teach you the trick, they perform it in extreme slow motion. They show you exactly where the coin goes, how the fingers move, where the misdirection is.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
That is the slow read. It gives the student the raw data. They can hear every single foam, every word boundary. They can map the new vocabulary onto the structure of the story.
But if they only ever see the trick in slow motion, they won't recognize it in the real world.
Exactly. The magician has to perform it again at full speed so you can appreciate the illusion, the flow of it. That's the natural read.
That makes total sense.
The slow read gives them the mechanics, right? And the natural read gives them the rhythm, the cadence, and the musicality of real speech.
This dual speed reading is actually a vital scaffolding technique in linguistics. Native speakers blend words together continuously. We don't speak in separate, distinct blocks.
We drop consonants all the time.
Constantly. Going to becomes gonna. What are you doing becomes what you doing.
Right.
If an A2 learner only ever hears the slow, perfectly enunciated version, they will be completely lost in a real conversation.
They'd be looking for words that native speakers just aren't saying clearly.
Exactly. But if they only hear the natural version right away, it's just a wall of incomprehensible noise. By juxtaposing the two back to back, the AI allows the learner's brain to consciously map the distinct words from the slow version onto the blended sounds of the natural version.
It's the bridge between textbook English and street English.
Exactly. It builds that bridge safely.
And then after the story, the AI asks 3 comprehension questions, each followed by that crucial 5-second pause. Now, up to this point in the lesson, the learner is mostly absorbing input.
Right. It's all about intake.
They've done a little bit of repetition, but they're primarily in receiving mode. But step 4 is where the text demands the learner take center stage and produce original thought.
We are transitioning from input to output.
Yes. Step 4 is speaking practice. The AI is instructed to ask questions about the topic, but the document doesn't just vaguely say ask questions. It categorizes them into 4 very specific archetypes.
And those archetypes are crucial.
They are. The prompts are, what do you think? What do you usually do? Have you ever? And which one do you like?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, those 4 archetypes are not random at all.
No, they seemed a bit basic to me at first glance.
They are basic, but in a foundational way. If we look closely at conversational pragmatics, which is basically how language is actually used in real social situations, these 4 questions cover the foundational pillars of basic human connection.
Oh, wow. I didn't think of it like that.
Think about how you build a relationship with someone when you first meet them. What do you actually talk about?
Well, first, I guess you share opinions. Like, what do you
Yeah,
think about this city?
exactly. That's pillar one.
Mm.
And then
Second, you describe your daily routines. Like, what do you usually do on weekends?
pillar two,
Third, you recount past experiences. Have you ever been to Paris?
pillar three,
And fourth, you express your preferences. Which one do you like, coffee or tea?
pillar four. The blueprint isn't just teaching grammar tenses in a vacuum, like, here's how you memorize the present simple or past perfect.
Right, it's not a textbook exercise.
It is mapping those grammar tenses directly onto the social functions they serve in real life.
Yeah.
It's teaching the learner how to exist as a human being in this new language, how to share who they are with another person.
It's highly functional. It's
Yeah,
about connection, not just correctness.
exactly.
But step five is where the document asks the AI to perform what feels like a minor miracle to me.
Oh, the conversation practice.
Yes. Step five is conversation practice. The instructions say create a short dialogue. First, you speak. Then leave my part blank. Wait 5 seconds. Continue naturally. Do this for 5 to 8 turns.
It is the ultimate test of the system's interactive design.
I really have to push back on the logic of this, though.
Why is that?
How on earth can the AI teacher continue naturally if it has absolutely no idea what the learner actually said during those 5 seconds of silence?
That is the big question.
I mean, if the AI asks, what is your favorite food? And the learner says, I love pizza, but the AI responds with, yes, reading books is very relaxing, it would completely shatter the illusion.
It would ruin the whole vibe.
It would feel like talking to a broken robot. It would destroy that confidence they've been building.
You're absolutely right. Resolving that paradox requires brilliant instructional design on the part of the AI prompt creator.
So, how does it actually work?
The AI must be engineered to craft the preceding sentence so that the learner's response is highly predictable, or at least constrained within a specific semantic field.
A semantic field.
Yeah, a semantic field is just a general category of words related to a specific topic.
Okay, so you have to lead the witness, basically.
Essentially, yes.
You can't ask an open-ended question like, tell me about your childhood.
Oh no, that would break the system immediately.
You ask a constrained question like, do you prefer living in the city or the countryside?
Exactly. And because the options are constrained, the learner is almost certainly going to say city or countryside, maybe with a short reason why.
Right.
The AI can then use a universal rejoinder to continue naturally. It can say something like, I see. Both have their good points. Personally, I enjoy the quiet of the countryside. But let's talk about area.
Oh, wow. So it relies on conversational universals.
Yes. Acknowledgement, agreement, or pivot phrasing.
Mhm.
It never specifically repeats what the learner said, but it affirms that they spoke.
It's like playing chess, but you have to make a move that covers all of your opponent's possible next moves at the exact same time.
That's a really good way to put it. You're designing a conversational funnel that guides the learner's output into a manageable stream.
And when it works, it creates the feeling of being heard, which loops right back to the core philosophy of the whole document, which is building speaking confidence.
The learner feels like they're successfully holding their own in a real English conversation for 8 whole turns.
That is a massive psychological win for an A2 student.
It's huge. It gives them the momentum they need to keep going.
So they've absorbed the vocabulary, they've listened in context, they practiced the grammar through personal questions, and they survived a simulated role play.
They've been through a lot.
They really have. So how does the blueprint ensure they don't just forget everything the second they take their headphones off?
That brings us to the final phase, cementing the knowledge.
Right. Step 6 is pronunciation focus. It says to choose 5 important words. Repeat each word twice. Tell the learner where to stress the word and give one easy sentence.
Highlighting word stress is absolutely crucial because English is a stress-timed language.
Meaning the emphasis matters a lot.
It changes everything. A word like record completely changes, meaning if you stress the first syllable versus the second syllable, record versus record.
Ah, yeah. One is a noun, one is a verb.
Exactly. This step focuses purely on the physical mechanics of speech, removing the cognitive load of meaning making for a minute.
It's a nice cool down exercise. And then step 7 is the review. And this part is strictly quantified. The document says 10 important vocabulary words, 5 useful sentences, and 3 grammar points.
It's very specific.
Extremely. It's not a vague, okay, let's just go over what we learned today. It is a specific numerical quota.
I want to look at the mechanism behind that gamification, actually.
Yeah, why the strict numbers?
Giving learners clear, achievable, and quantifiable metrics provides a profound sense of completion. When you are learning a language, progress often feels totally invisible.
Oh, tell me about it. You study for weeks and still feel like you can't understand a single movie.
Right, and that lack of tangible progress starves the brain of dopamine.
Which is what keeps us motivated.
Exactly. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter responsible for motivation and reward. When you don't feel progress, you lose dopamine and you quit.
You just feel like you're spinning your wheels.
But at the end of this audio lesson, the AI says, today, you mastered 10 new words, you can use 5 new sentences, and you understand 3 grammar rules.
It makes the invisible progress visible.
Yes. It triggers a dopamine loop. The brain registers a quantifiable achievement, releases dopamine, and that chemical reward actually helps consolidate the memories of the words they just learned.
It's a biological reward system. It gives them a receipt for their hard work. Like, look at what you just built.
It's incredibly validating for the learner.
And then we reach the final step, step 8, homework. It assigns 5 speaking questions, 5 shadowing sentences, and 1 short writing task of exactly 50 words.
Shadowing is fascinating.
Yeah, let's talk about shadowing, because that is a very specific cognitive and physical technique. What exactly is it?
Shadowing is when you listen to a native speaker and you repeat what they're saying almost simultaneously, like an echo.
So you're talking over them, basically.
Almost, yeah. Just a split second behind. You are trying to mimic their exact intonation, rhythm, and pronunciation as closely as possible.
I always compare shadowing to a musician practicing scales or like a singer lip syncing to a track in the mirror.
That's a really good visual.
When you're shadowing, you aren't trying to invent the words yourself. You aren't worrying about grammar or retrieving vocabulary from your memory bank.
All of that cognitive load is completely removed.
Right. The only thing you are doing is training the physical muscles of your mouth, tongue, and jaw to move in the specific rhythms of the English language.
It engages the mirror neuron system in the brain.
The mirror neurons.
Yeah, you are watching, or in this case, hearing an action performed by someone else, and your brain fires the same motor pathways to replicate it.
Wow.
Language isn't just stored in the hippocampus, it's embodied. You literally have to build muscle memory and proprioception.
Proprioception, what's that?
It's the awareness of where your tongue is in your mouth. You need that for foams that just don't exist in your native language.
That is wild. You have to teach your body the language, not just your mind.
Exactly.
The very last instruction in the homework is what really caught my eye. 1 short writing task of 50 words.
This is the great pivot in the lesson design.
Right. Because this entire document, from top to bottom, has been utterly obsessed with audio. Speaking, listening, pausing, pronouncing. Why, at the very end of an audio-focused lesson, do they mandate a writing task?
This reveals a deep, deep understanding of neuroplasticity.
How so?
The document recognizes that while audio and speaking build one type of neural pathway, the physical act of writing cements those pathways in a completely different, much more robust way.
Because it's a different physical action.
Partly. When you write, you have to slow down. The tactile feedback of writing, whether that's with a pen or typing on a keyboard, engages the reticular activating system in your brain.
And what does that do?
It basically signals to your brain that this information is important enough to physically record. It tells the brain, hey, save this.
It forces a deeper level of cognitive processing because you have to consciously retrieve the spelling, the syntax, and the vocabulary without the safety net of just mimicking a sound you just heard.
Exactly. It's self-generated.
Even in a lesson entirely devoted to speaking confidence, writing is the mortar that hardens the bricks you just laid.
That's beautifully put. It locks the auditory learning into the visual and motor centers of the brain.
And again, notice the constraint there. 50 words. It's not a daunting 5-page essay.
No, it's a highly achievable micro task.
It solidifies the memory without overwhelming the student's cognitive load right at the finish line.
It leaves them feeling accomplished, not exhausted.
When I synthesize everything we've discussed today, I mean, the 12-word limits, the 5-second pauses, the dual-speed storytelling, the constrained role plays, the dopamine loops in the review, it is just incredible how this single, purely technical document contains such a robust understanding of human learning.
It really is a masterclass. The overarching theme is that it essentially restricts the teacher in order to liberate the student.
Restricts the teacher to liberate the student. Wow.
Yeah. The AI teacher is put in a highly controlled behavioral box so that the student feels completely safe to explore and make mistakes.
It understands that you don't grow a plant by pulling on its leaves to make it taller.
Right. That just kills the plant.
Exactly. You grow it by perfectly controlling the soil, the water, and the light around it. The scaffolding is what allows genuine growth to happen.
And we see that scaffolding at every single step of this prompt, systematically lowering the effective filter and managing the cognitive load.
It is brilliant. So, for everyone listening, the next time you are trying to learn something new, whether it's a complex software program at work, a new instrument, or a new language, and you start feeling completely overwhelmed, stop and look at your environment.
Take a step back.
Exactly. Are you drowning in complexity? Are you expecting perfection from yourself on day one? Try to seek out or even build for yourself frameworks that provide this level of structured scaffolding.
Break things down.
Break things down into bite-sized 5 to 12 word chunks. Focus on mastering the core mechanics before worrying about all the fancy flourishes. And most importantly, give yourself the grace of a 5-second pause to just process what's happening before demanding an answer from yourself.
Give your working memory the time it needs to actually do its job.
Give your RAM a second to catch up.
Exactly.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final kind of lingering idea to mull over. Something that builds purely on the principles we've extracted from this document today.
I'm intrigued.
Think about the strict rules this text sets for an A2 English lesson. Speak in short sentences. Avoid complicated jargon. Pause for 5 full seconds to let the other person think and respond without interrupting them. Focus on a friendly, encouraging tone rather than demanding perfect phrasing.
It's a great formula for teaching.
But what if we applied those exact same rules to our native language?
Oh, wow.
Right? Think about your next intense team meeting at work or a difficult, emotionally charged conversation with a partner. How much clearer, how much kinder, and how much more effective would our everyday, real-world conversations be if we all communicated like this friendly teacher?
That is a really profound thought. We usually just talk at each other.
We do. We don't pause. What if we stripped away our own linguistic vanity, stopped trying to sound smart with long, complex sentences, and just focused on making sure the person sitting across from us felt confident, safe, and truly understood?
It would completely change the way we connect with people.
It really would. It's definitely something to think about the next time you open your mouth to speak. Well, that is all the time we have for today. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and stay insanely curious. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.